Nothing seems to explain good pork crackle like yelling out, Schweinhaxer! Slow cooked pork in beer gravy. Is there anything better? Did someone say yum? Yeah, me. Hi, I'm Shuey, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to roast a pork knuckle and also how to make authentic German beer gravy. Pork knuckle, pork hock, or Schweinhaxer. No matter what you call it, we're making it. So just sit back, grab a drink or two, and let's get into it. For this recipe, you're going to need pork hocks, and I suggest you ask your butcher for the rear ones because they have a lot more meat on them. Cheers to Gippsland Premium Meats for once again looking after me. To start the prep, we need to be piercing little holes all over the skin, and I'll be using a jacquard to do this. Now you can use a sharp knife or skewers, it'll just take a lot longer. And once we've given both the hocks their acupuncture treatment, we can move on to the seasoning. Is it too early for you to like this video? I don't think so. We'll be making our own seasoning for these pork hocks, and that's going to include some salt flakes, some whole black peppercorns, caraway seeds, fennel seeds, and garlic powder. Throw them all into a mortar and pestle and smash the crap out of them. Now adding a little olive oil to the outer of the pork hocks, and we're going to cover the skin and all the meat. We can now cover them with our seasoning, and we're going to go all over the skin and the meat. To stop the skin from shrinking up during the cooking process, I'm actually going to be using these stainless steel grill pins to hold the skin in place. Now they're easy enough to use, we're just going to push them through the skin into the flesh. And they should hold the skin in place. We'll just place the hocks on a wire rack, and then we can place these in the fridge overnight. Now, if you don't own grill pins, you can use metal skewers and just put them through the bottom of the pork hock in a crisscross action. Today, I'm going to be using a 57cm Weber kettle, and I'm going to be pairing it up with some charcoal baskets. Today's cook is going to be done in two parts. The first part, I want to be roasting at temperatures around about 180 degrees Celsius. So how I'll do that is by half filling a chimney starter with briquettes, lighting that up, and once they're fully ashed over, I'll grab my charcoal baskets, place them in the middle of the charcoal grate, and I'll dump the lit fuel into them. And then I'll just separate the baskets to the outer edges of the charcoal grate, and I'll put the grill back in place, and I'll attach an ambient temp probe. I'll put the lid back on, and I'll make sure I open all of the vents. We're going to start closing down that bowl vent as we start to reach our target temp of 180 degrees Celsius. By closing down our bowl vent before we hit our target temp, we won't overshoot it. It's time to start making our German beer gravy. So we're going to start off with a head of garlic. Just cut that in half and throw that into a pan. Next up, slice up an onion, skin and all, and that can go in the pan. Next up, a leek, slice that up, and that can go in. Then a carrot, pop that in. Then some salt and some pepper and some chicken stock. And obviously to make it German beer gravy, we're gonna need some German beer. And this is what I'm popping in today. Oh, look at that goodness going in. And lastly, grab the pork hocks that have been drying out in the fridge overnight, grab the entire wire rack and put that over the top of the stock. Now you don't want to put the hocks in the liquid because they can't swim. And we want to keep them dry. Now before we put the hocks into the Weber, we just need to insert an internal meat probe. And we're just going to place that in between the two charcoal baskets on the cooking grate. And we'll leave them in there for around 2 hours or until the internal temp reaches 85 degrees Celsius. Remembering to turn that lid 180 degrees every 30 minutes. Also, after about an hour, check those liquid levels. You can lift the lid because we're not creating the crackle just yet. We are an hour and 15 minutes into the cook, and the internal temp is sitting at 70 degrees Celsius. For the second part of this cook, we need a lot of heat to create crackle. So fill up a chimney starter as much as you can and light it up. And this will be ready for you when the hocks reach 85 degrees Celsius internally. So make sure you get that chimney on now. We don't want the hocks waiting around for extra heat. Now the hocks have reached an internal temp of 85 degrees Celsius. So we can get them off the heat, including the gravy base. We can push the charcoal baskets together and dump the full chimney of fuel into them. And using tongs again, we can push the baskets back to the outer edge of the charcoal grate. We can put the grill back in place and get the lid back on and opening the bowl vents wide open again. While we wait for the Weber to warm up, we can remove the pork hocks from the gravy and put them on a tray. And that whole process, we've really dried out the skin. So what we're going to do now is brush the skin all over with some vinegar. The Webers come up to 260 degrees Celsius, so we can get the pork hocks back in there. I'm gonna leave them on the tray. That is just gonna protect them from that direct radiant heat. Now I'm gonna work quick, so you're not gonna get special camera angles for this one. I don't wanna lose too much heat. Get your hocks on, nice and quick, right in the middle, lid back on. That's it. Set a timer for 30 minutes. Do not touch that lid. We are creating crackle now. No peeking. It's now time to finish off the German beer gravy. So we'll start by straining all the ingredients and just push them through a sieve. Then over to a low heat. We're going to add a corn flour and water slurry that we made up earlier. And you just want to keep stirring this over a low heat until it thickens up a bit. And you want to taste it. And if it does need any seasoning, which I don't think it will, add a little bit of salt and pepper. And once it's thickened up to the consistency that you like, add it to a jug to make it easier to pour. Simple. Today, I'm roasting at 2 different temps. The first part of the cook, I'm going to be roasting at temps around about 180 degrees Celsius. And the second part, I'm going to ramp that temp up to 260 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. And that's going to help create our crackle. All up, the cook's going to take 2.5 hours today. Or if you like using my beer timer, you're looking at a 5 beer cook. Does beer gravy count on the beer timer? I say not. It's a bonus beer. That's time. We can now get the pork knuckles out of the Weber. Oh, how freaking good do they look? We can see those grill pins have done their job and held the skin in place. Normally the skin shrinks up and you get all these creases in it. Oh, listen to that. All this needs is some gravy. Oh. Yum. Do I really need to say it anymore? It's that good, it should be illegal. As always, cheers for watching.